Hi, and welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev. This is our last one of
Good
the
morning.
year.
That's right. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so we'll say Happy New Year because this will come out on December 31st. So Happy New Year, be
Mhm.
safe.
Yes. Happy New Year. Stay home and watch lots of fun movies,
Yeah,
or, or go out and spend some time with some friends, but just be safe.
exactly. Or stay home and play some games or something.
Yeah,
That's probably what we'll end up doing. Playing games with somebody.
it's fun.
So it's the end of the year, Bev, and I think we need to talk about wrapping up this year for damn sure, and then moving into 2021. So, how do you feel about that?
I think we can talk about that. I mean, wrapping it up is like also taking a time to look back and see all the wonderful things that came from the year. Because it's easy to focus on the bad stuff, but what are the good things that happened?
Right,
Honestly,
right,
it wasn't all bad. It was a great learning, and I feel like a lot of us have evolved quickly, and we needed that push. Maybe we had to learn to have faith in ourselves and faith in what we can't see.
right. What I find is that people that don't like change, and you know who you are, just want to say that. I used to be one of those people.
Me too.
Um, People who do not like change are the ones that are going to buck the current, like try to swim upstream and get exhausted with all the resistance. But change, if we didn't change, we would have never grown out of being a baby or come out of utero, or we would still be in the dark ages, right? I mean change is every moment of every day. Our body changes every second and every day. It's constantly changing. And sometimes we don't like the changes. Sorry, but not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We have to have change.
It's true.
And it's for the purpose of growth and expansion. To me, is first and foremost. And some of the changes that occurred this year are things that people weren't really aware of. Some things people seriously were not aware of were happening.
True.
And until something is brought forward and it gets attention, we don't know. I mean, how did you know that so many hundreds of thousands of years ago that fire kept you warm? Somehow they experienced fire to know, oh, this brings heat. We can be warm. Or we could cook food, or cook we don't have to eat raw meat anymore. Um, so we don't always like the changes that occur, and I get that. There's been things in my life that changed that I didn't care for in the moment, but later it was a blessing. I could see the blessing in it. And so my point is, what I was started with is, it is, to me, it is much easier to flow with the change and focus on an outcome that is for the greatest and highest good of all than always trying to keep everything the same, and or cause resistance about change. Change is needed. It just is. Change is
It is.
needed. Um, so, and like Bev said, focus on the good things that have come out of it. And this is what I teach in everything, almost every class you hear me teach in. when you are in the middle of an experience that is uncomfortable, that is causing discord, chaos, anger, fear, right? When you're in the middle of that, we get blinders on, and we can only see the, like, focusing on the problem is what our main focus is. That's the way we've been trained, programmed. We learned that somewhere from someone or someone's.
Yeah.
If you get a mindset, and this is, I call them storms. So I get in the middle of a storm, a life experience that is uncomfortable, and I keep reminding myself on repeat, this is happening for a reason, it's happening for a reason, it's happening for a reason. What am I learning from this? What am I learning from this? I'm just keep reminding myself that there's something going on here that I cannot yet see. And that helps me kind of open up those blinders so I can see other perspectives, so I can see more or get more information. Do I always know the whole thing? No. I may not know the whole or even a part of the outcome until 5 years later or 20 years later, and look back and go, oh, okay, now I get it. It's being aware in the middle of the cray cray. That is the practice. I know it is the practice for me is when I'm in the middle of it, to remind myself there's something greater going on here that I cannot yet see or yet understand.
True.
And a lot of that happened this year for so many people. Loss of jobs, loss of family members, being isolated, not being able to visit people in person, not getting those hugs, having that interaction, that personal, physical interaction. The politics, the BLM, it just has been an incredibly huge year of change. And it's not over. Don't think that because 2020 is ending that it's over. Change is change is change. It's happening every single moment of every single day. Change is going to happen. Change your mindset about it. That's my request. Change your mindset about the changes. This is going to filter into 2021. It's not over, but where you put your attention grows. So you can continue to focus that 2020 is a shit show and we're not done yet, or you can focus on things are changing and be in the mindset that things are changing for the better, or things are changing for the highest and greatest good of all, not just you, for all. Because the things that we do individually affects others.
Sure.
What's your input?
I would just say to that, it's like you may not see everything that's happening and how it's transpiring, like you've kind of already said, but it's happening. It is all happening for the greatest good. And you can put this focus on anything. Like if you're going to focus on the positive for anything, it could be your job, finding the positives for that. It could be a relationship. It could be with a family member. It could be with your children. It could be with yourself. I mean, there's just a million different things. We have a tendency, like you said, to look at things that are the negative, things that we think are wrong that aren't necessarily wrong. Change is good.
There's no right or wrong.
I actually welcome change, and I was not a person that liked change. I didn't like anything that changed, but to me, change just shows that we're evolving. Things are happening. Because I don't want to stay in the same place. Now where we're at right now, even looking back, do you want to be in that same place and not have the knowledge that we have? Which brings it all down to energy too, how we all feel everything. And the more that we all become aware, the more become aware. Mm-hmm. It's just a natural part of the path. The more that each one of us changes these things and puts our focus on the positive thing, because believe me, we get into these habits of telling ourselves stories. And then we get into the story, and then your focus is always looking at the negative, or perhaps you're thinking about the positive. But a lot of times, most people are looking at the negative, and they're building that story, and you start believing your story. That's how you become a master manifester, and then you realize how fast this stuff happens right in your face. And then you think, wait a minute, do I want to create that? Because we're creating this at every moment, every moment.
We are creative creatures.
We really are. It blows my mind when I think about something and it happens within, I don't know, a short amount of time. I'm like, man, I really need, not need, but there's a good amount of focus to pay attention to what I'm thinking or what I'm doing. What story am I telling myself? What am I focusing on? And I've really kind of taught myself over the years to be really more focused on the positive. I'm not always. I'm not always in that place. But for the majority of the time, I will focus on the positive. And sometimes it takes me a few minutes, or maybe it takes me a few days to get there. But to me, there's always a positive in a situation. There's always a positive, that because otherwise there's no gain from it. There's a loss from it. To me, that doesn't make sense. To me, there's a gain from everything. That's why we're experiencing it.
There's always room for learning and growing. What we do though is we point the finger at everybody else and say, you did this. This is your fault.
Yeah. Until
Well,
you realize.
Yeah, we play parts in it as ourselves. You may feel like you're an innocent bystander, but by being there, you're a part of it.
Yeah, for a reason.
For a reason. And even if you're not interacting in whatever's going on, then the information you're getting from it, what are you going to do with that information? Are you just going to set it aside and say, oh, that's not mine, or I don't need to do anything about that? Or do you take action and help with whatever is going on to make a change, to learn and grow, to help others see it differently? Do you go create a community that's going to be supportive of making changes? Are you going to just talk differently to your neighbor? I mean, there's a responsibility in everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
So a responsibility is, Bev and I have this wisdom and knowledge. Do we just continue just having our own personal conversations on the phone? We did that for how long? For a couple of years.
Yes.
We would talk and we had these amazing conversations. And I'm like, we need to bring this forward to other people. The other people need to hear our conversations. And so, we could keep doing this, or we could say, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. It just is, how are you going to contribute to the changes that are taking place? And the most important piece is, how are you going to show up? So it's always taking the power and the responsibility within yourself instead of pointing the finger and expecting everybody else to change or to stay the same or to make the difference. And it first, it just starts, how are you talking to yourself?
It really does.
How are you talking to yourself? So, all year you could have been just saying, God, this is the worst year ever. All this stuff happened. It was just horrible. But I know for hundreds of people, because I'm in these groups in these communities in Facebook and other things, that hundreds of people have taken their businesses online, and it's been the most amazing year for them ever. Very prosperous and very they expanded and grew from going from a physical business to an online business, and now reaching beyond into other countries, right? Expanding their audience. So it's about perspective. And a lot of times when people are sitting and pointing the finger and pissed off about all the changes and just having a negative attitude, those are the people that are going to stay, what I call, in a victim mentality, a victim mode, and a poor me mode. But I'm telling you, there are so many more people jumping on the train of growing and expanding and changing their mindset and embracing the evolution and reveling in the magic that's happening.
True. Because resisting is you slamming the brakes on, but it's not going to stop the change. It's still going to happen. And you said resisting earlier, but it's like, so let's explain that a little bit. So when we're resisting, what does that feel like? And resisting is so many things. We talked about before. It's like we try to, like you said, going up the current. So maybe trying to escape this change that's unescapable or inescapable. How does that feel? For me, it feels uncomfortable. It feels angry. It feels depressed. It feels like you're trying to do. It's like running on a treadmill, chasing this little snack in front of you that you're never going to reach. You're never going to achieve.
What came to mind when you were talking was you go out in your yard and you pull the weeds, and then you go out the next day, and what happens? There's more weeds. I mean, that's the way it is in the desert where we live, especially after a rain, right? So
Yeah,
you go out, you pull the weeds that are there, but especially if it's rain, the next day there's probably going to be double or triple the amount of weeds because they just grow really fast. And the resistance is getting all pissed off that the weeds are popping up. The fact is, that's Mother Nature.
yeah, it's change.
So it's like, you can be thankful that you had the rain, and the rain, provided in some way, or be mad that the weeds are popping up. It's perspective. It's the resistance or non-resistance, and everything. Bev's saying positive or negative. Everything just is.
It just is.
It's an experience. We attach whether it's good or bad, whether it's positive or negative. And that is based on all our history. And lately I've been calling it our baggage. Like, we packed our bags, like you're going to go on a flight, you're packing your luggage to go on this flight, right? And you're taking all your clothes, whatever clothes you need. And what we've done is we've taken all our experiences from the past and put them in our luggage, and we're carrying this luggage that is so freaking heavy into every experience that we have, and then we decide if that experience is good or not.
True.
The fact is, the experience is just an experience.
Period.
It's our story we bring into it.
It is.
So then you have to decide, as part of the change, do you want to change your story? Are you tired of the story you've been telling? Right? I know I got tired of it. My stories got so exhausting, even talking about them. I was just like, I'm done with this. I want to tell a different story. And the stories were, I was telling the stories of the past. The stories now are, I want to tell stories of my future self. And that's where your attention and focus changes. If you're focusing on your past experiences that are causing discomfort, then you're projecting that into future events as well. And it just keeps showing up. So it's to stop those past stories that are causing those uncomfortable emotions and focus on so we're at the end of 2020. So in this moment, if you decided, I'm tired of the way I've been or the old person, then how do you want to show up in 2021? Well, I want to be more vibrant. I want to laugh more. I want to have more meaningful conversations. I want to be more supportive and have more compassion for others in the best way I can. Great. Focus on that. You may not be there yet.
Yeah.
You may not be there yet, but this is how you want to show up in 2021. Start focusing on it. And the more you focus on it, the more you will start practicing it. The more you start practicing it, or more you practice it, the better you get. And the better you get, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the more often you want to stay in that space.
Yes. And it's easy to be in that space. And then I was just going to say, changing the word want to I am. I am doing these things. Because at some point you have laughed a lot. So I am laughing more. So even encouraging it, I am enjoying life more. I am living my life for me. And it's
Right.
always for the greatest good. If you're doing it for all the right reasons, and you know by how it feels. You just know by how it feels. And the thing is, it's so easy to we start to notice. I've noticed for me, I start to notice how I feel, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's super exciting. And then my mind, or I get around people, and I've already got this idea. This is what I'm going to do, and they say something, and then I take it into consideration, or I feel what they're saying, and it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to do that. So then you start second guessing it. But just go with the feeling, with the initial feeling, because that's what you want to pursue. You don't want to pursue everyone else's ideas. Recently, one of my kids were going through something, and it's like, it's so easy to think that we have the best ideas for somebody else, for their life. Well, this is really what you should do, or whatever. And it's like, I realize, who the hell am I to have any idea of what someone else should do with their life? How can how can I know what's best for somebody else? That's so crazy to me, but it just it really kind of hit me, because I was like, holy shit, I'm doing that right now. I'm thinking that I know what's best for you got your own intuition, use your intuition. I don't know what's best for you. I'm learning to find out what's best for me. It's
That's just
freaking crazy. But this is
that-
part of the change. When we go back to change, this is part of change. This is part of allowing. This is part of not resisting. This is part of just going with the flow, and seeing what it offers up for you, and asking questions.
that's what my practice has been more is, I've had, so let's just say I've had an experience, and now you're going to move into, maybe I had it 5 years ago, who knows? And now you're going to move into a similar experience that I had. And I could tell you, oh, Bev, well, do it this way and do it that way. And be sure, you do this and do that. Well, that was for me. That was the knowledge I gained for me to move forward if that similar experience shows up for me. Because Bev has a different mindset. She has a different emotional state. She has different luggage that she's carrying from the past. She has different programming. Everything that she's going to experience in that situation is for her. So if we were to have a conversation about it, then this has been my practice. And you tell me what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, why you're going to, I would become more of an interviewer, like you said, ask questions. Okay, well, Bev, when you do that, how do you think that might affect you? Or what do you think, if that was to happen, how do you think you could move through that with more ease? Do you think you could shift your perspective about the situation and see it a little differently, right? I start asking you questions so that you can dig deeper within yourself to make the expand from the blinders, expand out. That makes sense. And
Yeah, I like
so,
perspective.
so instead of telling people, oh, you should do this and you should do, let's have some self-discovery and discover what you think will work for you, and let's talk it out and see how it feels for you. And that's where we become into community and support. Is I'm not giving her money, I'm not telling her, okay, well, here's a place for you to go stay. I'm being supportive in the fact that I'm helping her dig deeper,
Yes.
to take a moment and just have some self-discovery in the situation, right? You can support each other that way. And Bev is absolutely 100% correct. Who are we to tell somebody else how to live their life? Even your children. That may be hard
It's a
to
habit.
hear.
Yeah.
That is hard to hear, to say that your children, let me tell you this first and foremost, your children are not yours. They came through you to have a life experience for their own spiritual
Yes.
growth and expansion. They needed a body to inhabit their spirit so they could come to this earth and get their life PhD just like you. And they get their free will, they get their choices. And you may think that you know better and you know what's right for them. You do not. and it is not your place or your responsibility to tell them how to live their life.
And plus, we limit ourselves when we're doing something like that, when we're giving advice like that to somebody else, because their experience, we grow from each other. So allowing them to have their experiences allows us to grow. It allows us to see another way. It doesn't always have to be the identical or the same way that we've experienced things, right? It just doesn't have to, because like you
It
said,
never
we've
will
all had our
be.
own. No, and it won't be. But there's so much value in what we can gain from just watching, just paying attention, just listening.
Absolutely. And
And
people,
it's interesting. I was going to say, well, go ahead, because I'm going to go probably take it off
I was going
topic
to
a little bit.
say, people, this was a practice. Well, I've been practicing this like my whole life because I was an introvert, but listening to what people are saying and tuning into how they're feeling
Their energy.
is we need more of that, because people, we put the masks on and we tell people we're
Yes.
okay and I'm fine and things are good, and inside they're not. When we tune into hearing what they're saying or not saying, and feeling their energy, that gives you a lot of information. And just being more in tune, but listening is where you could start. Just listen to their
Which is what
heart.
I got that in meditation too. I was told, just listen. I'm like, okay, I got this.
I can do that.
I can do that. What I was going to say is it's very interesting. We're at the end of the year, right? We just had our full moon.
Yep.
It's just interesting. And it's like there was stuff that was coming up for me yesterday, and people can say whatever they want about energies of full moon and all that stuff. But for me, it's like stuff seems to show up, and it's like I can view it and see it for what it really is, and ask the questions and let it go, and then I don't have to deal with it anymore. Or I can keep resisting it, because I've noticed that. But it's like for me, I've gotten to the point where I pay attention when certain things come up, and I've noticed yesterday was an emotional day for me. I didn't even know it was a full moon. I didn't even know it started off that way, and it was like, I was crying, and then by the afternoon I was pissed off about something and angry, and it, it was funny. But it's like when you just like we were talking about, when we take the time to pay attention to ourselves, we don't have to wait 5 or 20 years to view this. I can see the positives and the negatives of that day. I can see I laughed at myself, me being pissed off. I actually laughed at myself quite a bit, yesterday afternoon. I kept processing what I had, my behavior, and it's like I would just chuckle at it. It's like, what were you? You're so silly sometimes. But it was just so silly. But it was so silly. It really was. It was really no reason to be upset or angry or anything. But it was just noticing my behaviors. Where was it coming from? Why am I having that experience right now? Because it was for a reason. And then I saw that big old full moon, and here we are right on the end. We're at the end of this year just about. So
Yep.
it's pretty awesome.
Well, I have to say this is the first time with a full moon in a very, very long time that I've actually slept well. I typically know, well, I knew that the full moon was coming, but even though I put it in my calendar, I don't always, like it's not in the forefront of my head, my mind that, oh, it's full moons on Monday or Tuesday. I put it in my calendar, but that full moon energy can affect us up to 3 days before. And every time the full moon comes, 3 days before, I don't sleep. I do not sleep. And if I do sleep, I don't rest well. And this is the first time in a very long time that I have actually slept well, even in that what is it, pre full moon, those 3 days. Like I've slept hard and deep, and it's been good. My husband agrees with that because he said I've been snoring. I was like, what?
I didn't even hear it.
But so yeah, but I have been Monday and Tuesday. I was a little emotional. So yeah, having to sit and process and write and burn and yep.
But it's a good thing.
And it could
And
be
that's,
just a releasing of this year, you know, just that residual release.
I even feel like with being sick, because it's like I've listened to Wayne Dyer and stuff recently, more recently, again, but talking about being sick, that's just our way of our body's way of handling things, releasing things, healing things on a deeper level, on an emotional level. You know, you hear about a lot of stuff. All the ways that we release are the sneezing, the coughing, crying, going to the restroom. There's so many different ways, sweating. You know, there's just so many different ways that we do talking and painting and, you know, all those different ways that we can release things. And it's freaking awesome. It's awesome that we have so many different ways. Now that I'm saying that out loud, it's like, it is freaking really awesome that we have so many ways to let go of things. So we have so many ways to express ourselves without yelling at somebody, without being angry at somebody, without taking it out on somebody else. Because it's in our experience, like you said, for a reason. It's not somebody doing else something to us. It's us. It's
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to us. What are you creating?
Absolutely. And it could be through I don't know, pottery or jewelry making, or because all of those, anything creative like that, even writing, um, that all is a meditative process actually, because it's bringing you to a focal point.
And as
So
you say, meditative, and it's like I have been meditating every time I wake up in the middle of the night. I welcome my waking up. Before I used to get upset by it, but now it's like, no, that's an opportunity. I either pray or I meditate. And it's like I've been meditating and I've been having all kinds of stuff happening. I mean,
nice.
it has been quite the ride. And then I'm like, why haven't I been doing this before? Because they've been telling me for the last few years. My guides, my universal team, it's been thrown in my face so many times, and I'm like, man, I'll do it. I'll get to it. And I know we've talked about it before that I've been doing it in so many ways, but it's for me, I'm noticing it's a little bit different when you get into that quiet place. It's not this, I mean, I still get information when I'm doing things and I'm just like in that zone, but when I'm still and I'm quiet, I start noticing more. I start hearing more,
Mm,
feeling more, seeing more.
mm-hmm. Feeling the energy more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I start by feeling my own energy in my body because it's like I start by relaxing the feet. And then I feel my feet when you say to me, we're like computers in so many ways, because all I have to do is say, my feet are relaxed. And then I feel them. I feel them actually relax. My calves are relaxed. I feel them actually physically relax. I go
Mm-hmm.
through my whole body doing that, and I'm in tune. It's not that I'm just in tune to myself. I'm in tune. I'm just listening because I started listening to my body. It's freaking awesome. I just love it.
And our bodies, as Bev was saying, like our bodies, when it's processing the emotions that we have pushed into it, that's our body's way of saying, getting your attention. And so when the body, when there's an ache, a pain, a discomfort, a illness, you know, it's like, okay, well, what is this message my body is giving me? Because there's some emotional attachment there that's like, hey, you pushed me down and now I need your attention so we can be released. So when your body has some kind of physical experience that is uncomfortable, then you want to sit and listen to it, tune into it. And you could just ask, you know, I have a pain in my right elbow. What message is coming up from this? And just sit and listen to your body. And then attend to whatever's coming up. Don't just go, oh, okay. No, well, let's process this. let's let's move the energy, because when you move the energy, majority of the time that ache or pain or discomfort is going to go away. But that's
It's
the
true.
way of your body getting your attention of, you know, you have these emotional things that you have been pushing down for so long, and me as your body, I can't take it anymore. And so we need to do something with this. So I'm going to get your attention by making your body hurt, right? Or sick or something. Um, and instead of putting the band-aid on it, whatever that might look like for you, then address what you've been stuffing. And if
And
you
it
have,
starts up. And if you have, go ahead. Sorry.
or say, and if you need assistance with that, well, first of all, either Bev or I for sure can help you with that. But Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, is an excellent go-to to move those emotions, more emotional movement, and it's a good reference for sure. And no, I'm
And
not
I was
getting
just
paid
gonna,
to advertise her book.
I was just gonna say sometimes we just this a lot of the stuff it starts out subtle. And so that I've noticed, and a lot of times we're so busy paying attention to everybody else or situations outside of ourselves that we're not listening to ourselves. And everything starts to get stronger, it becomes more painful, the disease becomes more prominent, all these things that are showing up for you. The more that you become in tune with yourself, you kind of nip that in the bud. It doesn't have to escalate to that point. And sometimes for me, like if I'm having pain, sometimes I feel like my body just wanted the notice. It just wanted me to pay attention to it. Because sometimes I'll ask a question and I may not get an answer. But when I come out of that space, I no longer have that pain. And it was almost like I just needed to, change my focus on whatever I was focusing on, the situation or life or whatever, something outside of me, that when I put that energy into myself, it changes. And also when I say putting that energy in yourself, it's also asking all these things that you're feeling, is this my pain? Because we pick up on everybody else's stuff too. A lot of us do. A lot of us are and I'm speaking for myself in many ways, a lot of us don't even realize how much we've been picking up from everybody, how our reactions to the people that are around us are how they're feeling, but we're reacting to it. It's such a process. This year has been really, really shown me a lot. It really has shown me a lot, but it's just paying attention, and it's just a listening. It's slowing down. And it's like if you would have told me this stuff before, like none of this stuff even, like whatever. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, I'm listening. I don't hear anything. Like so many things seem so ridiculous, but the more you slow down, the more you practice certain things, the more you just allow and go with the flow and stuff, you just start noticing things different. Everything seems to, it shows up differently for you. It really does.
Yep. And I had a thought and I don't know where that thought went. So it's the way it is.
Well, we can talk about our manifesting because we are coming up on a new year, right? We kind of touched on a little bit, and the wanting that I am, and setting yourself up. And it's like, really, this is a practice it's not just because we have a new year coming up, but it's like a practice. It can be done every single day. And it's kind of isolating. What do you want? Like, what would you like to see in your future? How do you see things? And it's not how you want to see things and then control it. It's just how you can see things, because it's going to show up bigger than what you can see. Almost always it's going to show up bigger than what you can see. But if you try to control it, if you don't want to allow the change to happen, it's like you only get little pieces that kind of trickle in for you here and there. But it could be so much faster. It could be so much better.
Yep. So here's a good example of change. We're setting our intentions for 2021. You have these dreams, desires, and goals. Do you know, or do you feel that in the space that you are in right now, with information and knowledge that you have right now, the way you're showing up right now with your mindset and your emotional state, your physical state, your spiritual state, that those things will come to fruition? Or do you know and recognize you have to change in order for that to happen? Very simple example. You cannot be focused on fear and expect your dreams and desires to come to fruition. You cannot focus on judgment and criticisms and shames and guilt and expect your desires and wishes and dreams to come to fruition. Mindset must change. Change is inevitable. And so you want to first, okay, so let's go through some steps then this is not going to be in any particular order, but let's go through some steps for manifesting. So setting your intentions. So writing it out. Finances, career, health, home, relationships, anything that you desire a change in, write it down of what you want, but putting it in the right now context. So it's not, I want this and I desire this, and it is. My bank account has $20,000 in it. Okay, so we're just going to go with that. My bank account has $20,000 in it. Okay. Is the reality that? No. You might have $50 in it right now, but you put it in the present moment tense. My bank account has $20,000. Okay. The practice is focus on seeing the $20,000 in your account, because where you put your attention grows. So if you continue to focus on the $50, I don't have enough to pay my electric bill, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent and all that, then what you put your attention on grows. So that $50 is going to become $15, is going to become 50 cents, right? It's just going to keep diminishing. So we want to focus and take the steps, keep moving forward in the direction of that $20,000 or that $50,000 coming to fruition. Emotional state. So we want the mindset first, seeing it already happened. So you just close your eyes and imagine that 20,000 is in your account. You see the numbers, it's in there, it's done. So mindset, we must focus on what we want. We want to see it already done. Bring the emotion. The reason why we want things is because it's going to make us feel a certain way. So you want to bring in that feeling of how will I feel when that's 50,000, or did I say 50,000, 20,000? I don't even remember. So I'm going to put 50,000.
You went from 20 to 50 and I was like,
my numbers are keep growing, man.
That's right.
By the time we're done, there's going to be 100,000 there. So
two separate books. Now we're at
50 in one and 20 in the other. That's okay.
That's right.
So bring that emotion in of how will it feel? Okay, so imagine, how will it feel having that money in the account? Bring that emotion in now with your visualization. So relief. I would be so relieved because I know all my bills are paid and I don't have to worry about, if I'll be able to pay my rent, right? So I'm going to feel some relief. Great. Do you know what relief feels like? You've probably experienced relief at some time in your life, so you know what that feels like. So you tune into how relief feels and bring that into your visualization. I'm just so relieved. I feel so relaxed. I feel at ease knowing that money's in the account and everything's good, right? So you want to bring that into your visualization right now, not in the future when the money's there, but the possibility of the money showing up if you're not doing these steps, money's probably not going to show up. It still could, possibly not. So, so you want to lay out what it is you want, what are you desiring, see it happening already through your visualization, bring in the sensation that you will feel, that emotion you're going to feel, how are you going to feel in your body when it does happen, but do that now with your visualization. What do you have to add to that? Anything?
We've talked about this before, but like even being excited about those bills being paid off. When you have that bill and you've paid it off and it's at zero now, being excited about that. You talked about before celebrating it, just getting up and celebrating, because I just paid off something recently and I was like, oh yeah, I was excited about it. I was like so thankful and appreciative, and it was just an awesome feeling because it comes back down to appreciation. I'm appreciating that I was able to do that. I'm appreciating that I'm able to do a few other things, you know, for my kids and stuff like that too. So it's just feel those things, because we have felt them at some point in our life. The appreciation, the excitement. We might have squashed it a little bit, but you have experienced it. Most of us have experienced it at some point. Sometimes it might be a reach, but it's just getting to that point, and it's just paying attention and feeling for those emotions. Because it's awesome,
Yep.
because you're manifesting, you're making a change, because we like change. Change is a good thing.
Change is good, and change must happen if you want what you want, your dreams and desires to come to fruition. And maybe lay out a plan. What will it take for me to have this money show up? And if you feel right now like you have the job and you're getting an income and you're just wanting to build on that, okay, lay out a plan. What's going to help me move more towards getting this money into my account where I feel more at ease and more relief with that money showing up? Because we want to be in co-creative mode with the universe. So, and this is where people get hung up. If I just visualize it and just sit here and I don't need to do anything. We want momentum. We want to co-create with the universe. So we want to move in the direction. So change your mindset, change your emotional state, use your visualization. That is process. That is progress. That is being co-creative. But you can't sit for 5 minutes and visualize the money being in your account and bringing in the emotion, and then 5 minutes later you get up and you look at your account, you're like, God, there's only $50 left still in my account. You're negating and canceling out all that work you just did.
Yeah.
So it's just staying the course, right? When a captain sets the sail, he's staying the course, and he's got to keep navigating and checking the wind and making the adjustments, making the changes that need to be done in order to get to his destination. That's the same for us. We have to set the course and move in that direction. We have to move in that direction. And in order to move in that direction, you can't, was Einstein said it, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. You have to make a change within yourself, and don't expect other people to change. It is not their job to change. It's your job to change. It's your job to support you. And if you're not getting the support in your immediate environment that you desire, then you need to reach out to other people. Kind of give them a gist. This is what I'm desiring. This is what I'm focusing on. These are my dreams and goals. And the people in my immediate environment aren't really supportive of that. Do you know anybody that maybe I could get in contact with that could create that type of community that I'm seeking? There are so many, and some of you may not be on Facebook, and I get it, that's okay. But there are so many communities on Facebook or other social media platforms that you can get in connection with to get that type of energy that you desire to help you stay focused. You could get an accountability partner. You can create a little group of, you come together and focus and support each other on what you're focusing on and be accountable to each other. So there are things you can do, and that is part of the momentum. That is part of the movement. That's part of the change. You haven't been doing those things. And so now you didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so now you have more information. You can implement it and now move forward and stay the course and stay focused on your desires.
It's true. And you said momentum, because I was thinking momentum, because sometimes, and be easy on yourself, because this is new. This is a new tool that you're putting into effect. And your momentum has been in the opposite direction. And we don't even realize it, because I've been around people, and I'll be saying something and then they'll say, well, you just said this. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just did. which is negating what I really want. You know, we don't get into a habit of really paying attention to ourselves because we've been so alert to everybody else, but it's really paying attention to self. It really
Listen,
is being aware of self, and then feeling those emotions. You know, when you're off course and when you're on course, it feels good when you're on course. It doesn't feel so great when you're not. It just doesn't. And for me, I don't know how everyone feels about past lives and present lives and parallel lives and all this stuff. I believe in a lot of that stuff. It all resonates with me. So to me, it's become easier for me to manifest because I know on one of my levels, whether it was my past, present, or future, or my now that I'm not even aware of right now, it has happened. I have achieved exactly what I want. I've achieved the relationship that I want. I've achieved the love that I want. I've achieved the money that I want. I have all that I want. It's that easy. It's already in my grasp because I've experienced it on some level. And my beliefs, I honestly feel like I have. So it's like the only thing that's stopping that flow to me is me. And I was talking to someone the other day. With all that being said, that would also mean I have all these natural abilities. You know, we get so afraid of doing something because, oh, I don't know how to do that. You don't know. Maybe you do know how to do that. Maybe you know on another level, on a past life, we've got a universal team that's with us at all times that we don't even rely on. Most of us don't. And it's like that's another factor to help me keep my focus, help me be the master manifester that I can be. You know, it's asking for that help and then knowing that it's going to be there and then recognizing things seem kind of easier. Like, man, my focus has really been good on this. This keeps popping into my head. I am doing this. You start feeling it and then you start even getting more excited about it because you can feel, you know, it's happening. And that's part of the journey. To me, that's what life's supposed to be like. It's not like we talked earlier on in the conversation, it's about negative and a positive, but is it really about, I use negative and positive because that's what people understand a lot of times. But like you said, it is an experience. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be negative or positive. Death does not have to be a negative. It does not. Because we've talked about it before, it's a celebration. To me, it should be a celebration because that person achieved whatever they needed to do, or they completed whatever they wanted to complete, and they were ready to go. Period. They got to go back into the non-physical, the joy, the love, all the beauty, the things that we can't even put our words into. We get to be here. We get to touch people. We get to feel. We have so many freaking opportunities while we're here. It's freaking awesome. Both sides of that is an awesome thing. But I know so many people that don't see things that way. They see death as such a final and such an end. They see living here as miserable and unhappy and like why would anybody want to come here? Because we get to feel. We get to feel. We get to touch people. We get to hug people. It's a wonderful place.
I'm going to go back to when you're saying the awareness within yourself. So we were talking earlier about listening. Practice listening to yourself. What kind of words are you using? What kind of statements are you saying? And how, when you say those words, how does it feel within yourself? I mean, we always come back to our words and our emotions, our words and our feelings. How do you feel when you say those words? And even, you know, in recent days, I say things, I'm like, oh, why'd you say that? That didn't feel good. But it's an automatic bleh, right? Just puke these words up and they didn't feel good. So, okay, let's get on your game and be more aware of what words are you using. And that's why a lot of times when I'm talking and I'm pausing and I'm thinking and my eyes are going all over the place because I'm trying to find the words that feel good to say. I do that in my normal conversations. I do that when I'm coaching. What words would feel good to say right now? Not my typical programming. The typical programming is to use the words not, can't, don't, won't, should, have to, could, need to, right? So it's like searching, take a breath, take a moment, find the words that feel good to use when you're talking. Because the words that you use are still affirmations, and those affirmations are still being received by the body, because when you are talking, first you have those thoughts and then the words come out. And when you're speaking those words, it amplifies the emotions that are attached to it. So when you're amplifying the emotion, now your body's responding. So now we're getting into the physical. So we want your body to feel better or feel good or feel amazing. Be aware of the words that you're speaking. And when it comes to manifesting the things that you desire, like Bev talked about, she's acquired the things that she's desired. The way it continues to flow in is through our belief of worthiness and deserving, which is our innate birthright because we are spirit and body. We come from the universe. Our spirit is of the universe, of source. And so source is abundant. And so we are already worthy and deserving of all that is. Good, bad, or indifferent, it is where you put your attention. So if you feel like you deserve to be punished, then you're going to stay in that victim mode, and bad things are going to keep happening. If you feel like you are a good person and you're worthy and deserving of good things, and you wholeheartedly believe that, good things will come continuously. It's continuous flow either way. So it starts again within yourself. So you have to listen to yourself. You got to be aware of your mindset, the words you're speaking, how you're feeling. And you're just like, oh my God, Amie and Bev, this is so freaking exhausting. Yeah, in the beginning, it might seem like it. But the more you practice it, the easier it is. And then that becomes your habitual behavior. Right now, your habitual behavior is your past self, your past experiences, your negative emotions. That's your habitual self. And you think the ego wants you to kill that? The ego is going to kick and scream and tell you that this is so hard and exhausting to change. Change is so hard and exhausting, and I don't have the energy to do it. And I know what to expect by the way I've been. But I know this other way of being feels better, but it's just so tired and hard to get there. That is also a mindset. It could be so simple and easy if you let it, if you allowed it. So just being aware that being worthy and deserving of good things is a mindset. And that is important for it to become a part of your programming. I am worthy and deserving of good things. That is an affirmation. You feel into that, you feel it, it feels good. The spirit in you is like, yes, she's getting it, she's getting it. And live from that space. I am worthy and deserving of a good cup of coffee. Great. Do you make your own coffee at home? Then buy a better brand of coffee, whatever tastes good. You're worthy and deserving of that, even if it's $1 more. If you're going to be worthy and deserving of Starbucks, great. Go get Starbucks, but don't bitch and moan if you don't have the money in your account to pay for it. See, you're going to get hung up on things, on your reality. So right now, I'm worthy and deserving of a good cup of coffee that I have to make at home. That's fine. And then I'm going to project that I get to buy Starbucks at least twice a week, every week. And so that becomes part of your manifestation. Well, the part of the manifestation is bringing into your experience the money to pay for that comfortably. And knowing that when that money comes, then you get to make a choice. Do I buy the Starbucks or do I go pay a bill, right? So you got to be aware of where you're getting hung up on in your manifestation process and what you're focusing on. It could be, oh my gosh, I would love a cup of Starbucks today. And you go to work, you make your coffee at home, you enjoy your coffee that you have because you want to be grateful for what you already have. And you get to work and one of your coworkers brings in you a Starbucks. That is manifesting as well. But you're also believing that I am worthy and deserving, and you say thank you. The opposite of that is, oh, you shouldn't have. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this for me. And now you're negating the gift that was brought to you from the universe. So it is a little tricky, and you have to be very aware. And that's where the work and the practice comes into play. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's just like anything else. It is not hard. It's not exhausting. It's just a new practice. You're saying it's hard and exhausting because everything you've tried that's new, everything that has changed has been hard and exhausting. That's your past story. The news story is I'm embracing the change. I'm embracing this information I'm learning to bring to me the things that I wish that I desire and dream of. That could be so simple and easy, but it starts with your mindset. So you have to change your mindset. You have to change your mindset. Not too often I tell people they have to do anything. It's your choice whether you do it or not. But if you want to move in a direction of bringing things to you through your manifestation process or law of attraction, same thing, law of attraction, then mindset must change first and foremost. And you're going to back that up with your words and emotions.
Because you're always manifesting. You're always bringing things
All
to
the time.
you. It just may not be what you're looking for. So that's being aware of that, because we are always manifesting. We are always bringing more to us. A lot of times, if we're in a victim mentality, we're bringing more things that make you feel like a victim into your experience. So this is just the process of helping you walk through and look at other things and grow and try to create something else that feels good, not what hasn't been feeling good.
Yep.
It's a gift.
That worthy and deserving applies to all areas of your life: the career, the finances, the relationships, the home environment, all of it, your health, all of it. All of it. Worthy and deserving is the key. So be aware of that. Make it a
Yes.
practice. And another part of your visualization process is to get the dream boards that is so often talked about, is so that you have them have an actual physical image, especially for those who have difficulty visualizing, is to actually get images to put on a board or on your phone or something where you can see it every single day. I have my dream board is right here on my wall next to me, so I see it all the time. And even if I'm not sitting there looking at it, every time I pass by, it's in my peripheral, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
still there. Our mind, everything that is around you is absorbed into the mind. But humanly, we can only process so much of what we see and hear. So it's important to have those those pictures immediately available, and the layout of what you want to bring to you, and maybe write down the emotions that you're gonna experience when you receive those gifts, to help remind you that, okay, I got to bring this emotion in while I'm visualizing this. Every time I look at my dream board, I want to bring in these emotions. Manifesting can be a lot of fun.
Oh yes,
It can be a
all of
lot
it.
of fun.
Yes.
And the other thing people get hung up on is, well, it's still not here, it's still not here, it's still not here. Well, there's your resistance, and you're saying, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it. And we have to let that go. We just have to be playful and have faith. The faith and
Yeah.
trust that the universe is conspiring for you to bring those to you. But you have to be open and receptive and know that you're worthy and deserving of it.
To me, it's almost like making a list and then just letting it go. And then looking back at that list later on and then checking off the things that happened. You don't have to over focus on things, but it's really what it boils down to is listening, paying attention to what you're saying. A lot of times when we're giving out advice, that advice is for us, and if we're listening to the words that we're giving out, then we can recognize, and that's a practice that I'm practicing.
Mm-hmm.
But the advice we're giving out to someone else is direct advice to us. It's like a flow that's allowing the universe to flow through you so you can hear your answers. It's like these gifts that we get all the time that we don't even acknowledge. They're miracles like happening all the time. This information's flowing to you all the time. And if you feel like you're hung up in a place and you catch yourself in a situation where you're giving advice to someone else on how to get past this, recognize that, because you're telling yourself exactly what the step to do. And it's just putting it into action. But it's being aware of the advice that we're giving, the words that we're saying, and putting it into action. They're gifts. We get information all day long. and we think we're giving information, but we're actually receiving that information for it to come out of us. So pay attention to what you're saying.
Yep. And a really popular book to, I know it's on YouTube too, an audio version of it is Think and Grow Rich. That
Oh
book
yeah.
was written,
Is that Prentice Mulford?
hmm?
Is that by Prentice?
No, that's Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. Okay.
Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill. It was written back in the ooh, 30s come up, but I'm not sure. I don't remember the year. Um, many years ago. And before this was really ever talked about, this wasn't manifesting, and law of attraction really wasn't really well known until the 90s. Kind of started in the 70s and 80s. But it was too woo woo, right? People were like, no. But it wasn't until like really the 90s, and then when The Secret came out, so that's another thing you can reference is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and it's there's a movie, there's a book, so you can get from manifesting and law of attraction information from that. There's hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube about law of attraction and manifesting. So just be aware. Always come back to energy and feelings. Be aware of when you're receiving information from people, how does it feel in the way that they are presenting it? I mean, I've had people who they have great information, but the way they present it and the words that they use doesn't feel good to me. I can't listen. I don't listen to it. I have to find somebody else. And so it's just a process. Find somebody who you resonate with, where you feel comfortable and it feels good in the way that they present the information. Of course, that's Bev and I's goal, is to bring forth information in a way that it feels good to you and in a way that you can hear it and receive it. So a lot of times you hear us, we'll repeat some of the things that we've said because we might say it just a little different, or she might repeat something I say just a little different in a way that you can hear it. So sometimes we have to hear things over and over and over and over and over again. And it's just in the way that different people are saying the same thing in a different way. But it's the same information. Trust me, I've read hundreds of books that all said the same thing. They just all presented it in a different way, in a way that I could hear it. So
I would say one of the ways that I have resisted the information is when someone comes to you and tells you a story and you've already heard the story, and you initially want to say, oh, you've told me that before. Listen, because something more is going to come up from that story that you weren't expecting, something that they probably weren't even expecting, but it allows it to flow through them. It's interesting. I've noticed that the more I do that, the more I practice that I get new information. And I'll be like, oh, you never told me that before. Well, because how many times, and that's resistance. When you stop something, when there's a flow coming to you, I mean, that's like an immediate, you can see the flow's coming to you right now. We don't know what information is going to come to you. And then immediately you're like, oh, I already heard that before. Slam the door, conversation's over. The flow is no longer coming to you. It's just paying attention and letting someone go ahead and tell their story again, because there's more information in that story, or you're going to hear it now for the first time in a way that it's going to be relevant to what you're experiencing right now.
yeah, the first time may not have been relevant. It was just they needed to share their story, but there's
Yes.
still something for you to learn from it in whatever way. The second time, maybe they're telling the story for you. And it's time for you to listen, really listen, and get some information through their knowledge, right?
Yes.
If it gets to a third time, though, it's probably a pretty strong message that really gets your attention.
Like, baby, really listen this time.
Yeah, I I I have a practice now that I'll hear it once and I'll take it in. I listen, but if I'm hearing the same thing twice, I'm on it. I'm listening, I'm taking the action, I'm soaking it in. And don't tell people, I know, I know, I know. That's again, you're slamming that door shut. You
True.
don't know. Because if you knew, you wouldn't be hearing the story again, or you wouldn't be hearing the information again, or people wouldn't be showing up to help you. You've asked for help, and now somebody's showing up to help, and then you're like, oh, I know. If you knew, you would have been completed, done. You don't know. Just want you to know this. You don't know.
No, the more I've learned, the less I know, honestly, because it just
Exactly.
opens up such a bigger window.
Yep.
It opens up everything.
And 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 just an awareness. I the people that I can think of who are know-it-alls, they seem like they know everything, or they think they know everything, are miserable because they're not opening themselves up and allowing other people to come in to bring them new information and knowledge. They know what they know, and they don't know anything beyond that. So they're stuck. So they're stuck in the information that they have. And maybe they do have information to move forward and grow and expand, but they're choosing not to. Okay, so just be aware of that. Just notice when you're having conversations with people and they say that. Oh, I know. That's about time my lips come together and I just go, oh, okay. We'll see where you are in a few months.
It's
It's
true.
okay. No right or wrong. It's okay.
That's right, because it's
You're
their
doing
journey,
it.
it's their path. It's loving them anyways.
Yep.
That's where we learn the practice of unconditional. Unconditional means it doesn't matter what decisions you're making, they just wouldn't be my decisions. And
Right.
it's your journey, it's your path. And we all have our own experiences. We've all gone through our own stuff. So we learn differently. We're all unique, all of us. And there's always something to gain from viewing someone in that space, because it's like, what can I learn from this right now? What am I doing? What could I possibly be doing that I'm keeping myself in the same space? Because it's in your experience. If you're witnessing it, you're seeing it, there's a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all right. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It just means that you're at a point where you can look at it and you're stronger because you can look at it and you process it. And you don't keep it in your baggage anymore. You process it and you take it out of your baggage so you lighten the load.
So, you remember the cartoons where they just kept stuffing things into the bags and then they go,
Like everything.
right?
Yes.
That's your body. That's your body talking to you saying, you cannot stuff any more shit into me because I cannot take it anymore. So you need to do some releasing of this stuff that you keep pushing in me. We need to release it because I can't take it. Oh, that was the thought I was having earlier. So, as an example, most commonly at the beginning of a year is when people focus on their health or their weight. Well, the weight is a representation of something. It is a protectant. It is a barrier. It is a comfort zone. It has a representation. So if you have weight issues and you are going to focus on that for your new year, I don't hear anybody using new year resolutions anymore. So it's your new year focus, if you want to use those words. Um, Listen to the body of what does that weight represent for you. So an example would be that, somebody who has been molested or raped, they will sometimes gain weight as a protection that if I don't look pretty, then nobody will be attracted to me. So that's just an example. So be aware, what does that weight represent? And listen to your body and don't focus on the weight. Don't focus on being overweight. Focus on the weight that you desire. So it's the same thing what we talked about. Maybe get a picture of a slimmer body. You can also take a picture, your head, your head, and put it on top of that body as a visualization. How you feel when your body is slimmer and lighter, Is it going to be more mobile and feel better and more fluid and more flexible? How are you going to feel? And so um, it's the practice. Focus on what you want.
I agree.
Hold on a second.
I can't hear you now.
I had to shut the door because I had people come in the house.
Oh, okay.
I was home by myself and now they're here.
That was a good catch because I didn't hear anything.
So anyway, just giving you some tips and tricks on what you desire as we release 2020. So a good way to release 2020 is do some writing, and then we call it writing and burning. So we just write out the things you want to release and then go burn it. Don't hang on to it, just go burn it. If you choose to burn, then please be safe. Have a bottle of water or something, the hose or something available to put the fire out. But write out what you want to release from 2020. And isn't it amazing how 2020 has been for a lot of people? We end with a full moon. The full moon energy is until the 1st. So write and burn, release, and then set your intentions for 2021. Write down the emotional state you'll feel when those things come to fruition. Get some pictures, some visual images to help you keep your focus, and be very aware of what you're thinking about and how you're feeling.
Yes.
That's the practice. So we just want to bring forth this information, this guidance to help you. This is good. You can start this anytime. It
Yes.
could be February or July. So you can use this process at any time. And always remember that things are going to show up probably better than what you expected if you allow the process. Don't be in the controlling mode thinking it's got to show up in a particular way. Ask, present your menu, your order to the universe, and do your part in moving towards what you desire. The best way you can, no right or wrong, you'll learn. The more you practice, the better you get. So we know that. Things have showed up for me and I'm like, oh, maybe I need to be a little bit more particular about what I wanted. so
Exactly.
it is a practice, and you will have plenty of time to practice. You'll get plenty of opportunities to practice. So it's just like anything else. Practice, 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 and notice how you feel.
Yes.
So, my friends, I'm excited about, I was excited about 2020. It was beyond my expectations. 2021 could be amazing if that's your mindset. And so I'm really excited about to see what 2021 brings and how we move forward, how I move forward as me, but how we move forward collectively,
Yes.
globally, and the changes that are occurring, and the outcome that is coming. So happy new year, and
Happy New Year.
see you in 2021.
Yeah. Master co-creators here. That's right. We are master
Master
creators.
manifestors.
Yeah, but we're masters, we're co-creators as well. And with all this information out there, it's going to be very exciting. I feel very excited about this, the new year.
Yeah. So with that, my friends, thank you for being with us. Tea Time with Amie and Bev, and happy new year. We'll see you next year.
Happy New Year. Bye.